Perfect. Hey, everybody. I am here with Kalina Bryan. I want to give Kalina the intro that she deserves. So I have the extreme pleasure of introducing somebody who is a 2022 Forbes 30 Under 30. She's helped companies like Adobe, Anaplan, Talkdesk, and Signified generate millions of revenue through marketing and customer experience. She's passionate about driving diversity, equity, and inclusion in corporations and advocating for underrepresented groups. Focused on building communities that turn members into raving fans. Here's the CEO of Unapologetic, who will be speaking about leveraging community as a growth engine today, and who recently purchased her first pair of Jordans and has instantly gained top street cred. Welcome, Kalina Bryan.
Thank you so much, Jared. I'm so excited to be here. I am going to pop open my screen for the team to see. All right, Jared, help me out. Do you see my screen all right?
I can see your screen perfectly.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much. For people that know me, I usually am a Louboutin girl, but I got some tennis shoes for the first time, and I think I get more credit now for them. But I'm so excited to be here. I am going to go into a lot of details around community, how I sort of got to where I am through community. But really, I'm just excited to be here. I'm going to go into a lot of details on how to retain and scale your customer base. We're going to have some room for some Q&A. We're going to be dropping some tea for you all, and super excited to get this going. So I figured before we dive in, a little bit about me and how I shaped my professional journey and business around community development. As Jared mentioned, I'm Kalina Bryan, the founder and CEO of Unapologetic Tech. Today, I'm here to talk to you about communities and how they can be used as a growth engine. But first, let me really tell you about why communities are so important to me. I've always been looking for a community and a sense of belonging. We all know it's a little bit difficult sometimes being in the tech industry. For me, particularly being an African-American woman in tech, it could be quite lonely, but I would say that it's rewarding when you find a sense of community. I personally started off as an SDR back in 2014. I feel old now. With my eyes wide open and eager to crush it. Little did I know it was a bit of a bro club. I didn't know anyone on the sales floor. So instead of giving up, I really shaped my own community. I made friends across the entire company and understood what people wanted, especially our customers. Fast forward to 2020, I climbed the corporate ladder, developing customer communities, made it to global director and beyond, and really understood the higher I went, the lonelier I got. So I thought throughout my career, I was going to develop women empowerment networks, ERGs for minorities, even book clubs for people, all because I wanted a sense of connection. Little did I know this was allowing me to enjoy my day-to-day job, the people that I was with. I found joy in my work. I was able to connect with creative people, help customers, create experiences. And really, after 2020, I decided to create my own community, which was filled with ambitious women, people of color, allies, and I really launched the podcast. And many of you know my podcast is all about having individuals that are doing amazing things, coming on raw, being able to tell their stories, and specifically how to navigate the tech industry. Realizing that everyone needs community. People just want to feel accepted. They want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. So on my end, fast forward, I decided, hey, we should do some training. So Unapologetic now focuses on training, coaching, specifically companies that are looking to scale and create inclusive communities for their customers, for their employees, and increase revenue for their business. Now, that was a mouthful, so enough about me. Now we're definitely going to get into how do you create your own community at your company. So with that being said, let's start off behind the scenes, the psychology behind a community. We've all heard about my journey, but after doing some research and seeing the key findings from award-winning psychologists and human beings on how to actually have a sense of community and really build that foundation. Ultimately, if you're in a community role, we know you produce a lot of content, but that's not just all community is generated for. It's more than that. To have a loyal customer base It takes a unique strategy. It takes purpose. It takes an ability for you to know how to engage, how to nurture, and how to maintain your community base. So, well-known psychologists from the American Journal of Community Psychology has been studying this for years and agree that it takes multiple components to be successful in the community. But overall, a thriving community starts off with understanding your customer needs and wants and ensuring that they have a sense of belonging and that they are a part of a company and they're a part of your product journey. They want to go along the journey with you. They want to give you feedback. As customers, they want to be invited to the table. They want to be invited to the table where you're making the decisions. And they want to make sure that they're invested in. If you invest in them, customers will invest in you. It's a relationship. Sometimes being in the tech industry, we forget it's all about the relationship. So creating a space where customers feel like they belong sets you up for success. Now, how do we actually do this though? We're going to go into the key components needed to actually create this community. That feeling is backed by understanding the human beings and what they're actually seeking. Science tells us this. Why does everyone want a community? Why is it crucial to maintain the community? And overall, how do we have tangible resources to make sure our customers are set up for success? So we're going to get into that. Now, when I think about community, I personally think about if I walk into a room and I'm a part of this community, do I feel like I belong? Do I feel accepted? Do I feel like my opinion matters, that people are listening to me? Now, when we think about our customers, they want to understand those same exact things as well. So to measure success, you have to think about the following components. When you're thinking about it, membership, right? We all have our private communities. You know how it feels to get that once in a lifetime invite. When I received my invitation for Forbes, I had to read it twice. I didn't think it was true, because it's such an honor to be a part of a particular membership. So as a company, when you're creating your community, you want your customers to double read that invitation from the CEO. You want them to feel like I was hand selected because I am an expert. They are willing to listen to me. They want to value my opinion. So it really starts off with, what does that membership look like? How many customers are actually engaged? If you send that invitation for them to be a part of the community, number one, are they going to say yes? Are they going to engage with you? Are they going to want to be excited about that opportunity? That's the first start of it. And can you maintain that membership? Anyone can start a community, but is it good enough to where your customer wants to constantly engage with you? And then next, you got to think about influence. How many customers are advocating for your company and the community? Are they inviting members? Are they raving about you when you're not even around? Are they talking about how the community is helping them along their way? Are they getting promotions because of the content that they're getting in their community? Is their life a lot better, their work life a lot better because of what you have built for them from a community sense? That's the influence you want to think about. Lastly, you want to think about integration and fulfillment of needs. If people are in the community, they are seeking resources, but they're also seeking an opportunity to feel heard. So if you're a company that is looking for feedback, you have to make sure when the customer is starting to give you that feedback, are you doing anything with the feedback? If they're telling you about a certain product, if they're telling you about a certain if they're telling you about a certain thing that they want to see done in the product roadmap long term, are you able to satisfy them? Are you able to take their needs and bring it into action? The members in your community, they want to feel heard. Are they being seen? If they can understand that if they're in that community and the things that they're asking you to do, if you're actually giving them results, they're going to come back. They're going to want to feel like they're a part of your company. They're going to feel as though they're in an elite group specially made by you. Now, overall, does your community share emotional connection? Are they attending events? Are they attending and leaving you feedback? Are they joining your councils, your advisory boards? Are they coming to you with new ideas? If the answer is yes, I think you have a successful community. If the answer is no, we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to ask ourselves, What does the foundation look like for our customers to be engaged with us? If you have a community and you invite them to a virtual event or in-person event and no one shows up, do you have a great community? No. If all of a sudden you invite people to events, whether that be a happy hour or a dinner or a user conference, and they're willing to speak for you and they're willing to give you feedback on the product roadmap and they're willing to volunteer their service, you have an emotional connection that your customer is drawn to. So with that being said, if your customer is drawn to your community and they want to engage with you, they're more likely to expand. They're more likely to be long-term customers. Therefore, you're set up for success for a healthy customer base. So with that, always ask yourself, are they engaged? Do I have a certain amount of members? Are my members influenced? Are they giving me feedback? Are they integrated? Are they giving feedback to where we can change our product? We can always innovate. We can be disruptive. And ultimately, is there emotional connection on both sides? You want to make sure that there's always an emotional connection because people will stay. They will always come back. Now, since we understand the foundation, since we understand that here are some of the key components that you need to create that community, let's really get into the nitty-gritty of it. Community impacts your revenue. How is this possible? How do you measure that? How do you even get the confidence to say that my community is bringing in X, Y, and Z of revenue? This is the fun part. If the community is thriving, your organization should be at a positive layout to impact revenue. Research done by Demand Metrics showcases that 18% of study participants report that over 30% of their organization's revenue is influenced by the community, which is amazing and makes sense if you think about it. Let's say we take the top 100 accounts from your customer base and design a community that makes them feel empowered, and you give them resources, you give them unique experiences, and you set them up to be successful. You shouldn't have to worry about these individuals churning because they understand what they're getting, they understand their needs are being met, and more importantly, if the customers in the top 100 account list are engaging with you and providing you feedback, as a business, you should be in a great position to expand with these accounts now and feel confident that they will retain and become long-lasting customers. What's better than a 1-year commitment from a top client? A 3-year commitment. Now, how do you get to a 3-year commitment? You need to know them. You need to know what they like. You need to understand what their needs are, what their pains are, and be able to have honest dialogue. We have to start treating customers as human beings. How do you want to be treated? If you can answer that, then think about how you're treating your customers. Now, if you're creating this unique community where they get invite-only dinners, they get invite access and beta testing to some of your sneak peek products, they're able to leave you feedback about something that's bothering them that they want to actually see enhanced. If you're doing this for them, they not only see you as a company, they not only see you as a product, they now see you as a partner that is helping them reach their goals. Now, if you can get all of your key customers to see you as a partner, you would never have to worry about customers churning. They are committed to you because of your character, because of the culture that you provide, and because of the honesty and community that you have given them. So I'll always go back to what is your foundation? What is the psychology behind what your customers want? What type of experiences are you creating for them? Now, if you can honestly say that you're creating great experiences, you're answering the feedback that your customers are giving you, you should be confident to know that your revenue is enhancing, your customers aren't churning, your top 100 accounts are happy and willing to expand with you, willing to go to long haul with you. That's how you know you're doing a great job. Overall, great communities, they need long-lasting investments. So invest in your community, invest in your customers, appreciate your customers, design something that you would actually want to be a part of. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. We all know with the data that we can get 30% increase in revenue if our community is growing, if the engine is working. But I really want to talk about how a community actually impacts all of the revenue generating departments. Sometimes we see that communities can be living in marketing. Sometimes we see communities are living in customer success. It doesn't matter. What matters is the community thriving, and are you putting your customers first? If that is the case, communities done right can be considered as an actual growth machine. But in order to get there, we have to think about what is the specific departments that we're actually touching. If a community is successful, then your revenue generating departments should be set up for success. Meaning, let's take marketing, for example. Marketing, they constantly will always need amazing testimonials, case studies, reviews, speakers. All of this is going to come from customers. Now, if you have a thriving community, then that means that you should have a thriving list of customers willing to do testimonials for you, willing to participate in your speaking engagements, your user conferences, willing to go to bat for you and give honest reviews as to why your product is number one. Every company wants to be seen as a thought leader, as an innovator, as a disruptor. They want to be on the Gartner reports, the Forrester reports. Without customers, how do you get on those reports? Without customers that are willing to vouch for you, how are you going to be seen as number one? If you have a positive community, a happy community of customers, you would not feel, nervous to ask for them to do those reviews. They will be willing to do that for you. And if that's the case, marketing is generating positive new leads. They're generating content that everyone wants to read. They're generating content that not only prospects are reading, but now you have customers that are part of your community that's just as excited to share that content. So the word is getting out there. But in order to get to that place, you need to have a thriving community so you can have abundance of customers that are willing to give you and produce valuable material. That's one piece. Now let's get into customer success. Customer success whole purpose is purely to make sure customers are satisfied and they're happy and they're not churning. If you have a thriving community, customer success should be able to get tangible feedback from their customers, understand some of the needs that they're looking for, and really understand the health of their customer base. If you have all of your customers inside the community telling you what they're looking for, a customer success manager should feel confident with their book of business because they understand what they're getting from their company, from their clients, and from their customer success manager. And lastly, my favorite, sales. Now, if a community is going well, that means that sales will always be set up for success. If you think about it, sales, they will always need to have a great reference machine. Customers who are willing to vouch for your product, and in order to close larger deals, we all know you need healthy, positive references. Where are you going to get those references? If you have a thriving community, you can rely on that community to generate positive references for you. So for all of my salespeople out there, I know you've been there where you're almost there, closing the deal. Your customer says, I just need 3 references. I need 3 customer references for you to talk and highlight why I should choose you. Let's say it's the last day of the quarter. You can't get those references, or you can't get a positive one. You lose the deal. That's never a great feeling. Now, if you have a healthy community of customers that are telling you step by step as to why they love the product, that means you have an ongoing customer reference program, a robust one in the making. As a salesperson, if you can rely on your customers to speak highly of the product, to say why they choose you, why they stay with you as a company, then why wouldn't your customers or prospects close deals with you? It's a lot easier to have a customer talk about why they choose you instead of you as a salesperson telling them day by day as to why they should choose the product. So ultimately, if you have an engaging community of customers that are satisfied with you, you also have the start of a very successful reference program. Now, with that, I'm gonna get ready for Q&A. But I do want to leave you with, if community development is done right, you will have a customer growth approach and long-lasting ROI. Customers want to be seen, heard, and valued. It's quite simple. You as a human being want to be seen, heard, and valued. So that means that your customers want the same thing. They want spaces where customers get all three of these things. They want a customer community that guarantees that you will have, healthy feedback. If you have a healthy customer community, you can guarantee that you have a healthy growing machine. Your customer is your number one priority. And you'll see that I also put customer advisory boards. This is the sweet spot here. I think that if you're starting off and you don't know where you want to begin, how to get your customers together, start small. Get a small group of customers together. Have them invited to a private advisory board. Have them give you feedback. Have them feel invested in. And I will say, if you do this right, that's the start of your base. That's your foundation. You can start to create multiple programs from that. And I will say, we've all heard it before. If you have a happy wife, you have a happy life. Well, in the community world, in the tech world, if you have happy customers, you have a successful business. You have a healthy business. You have a growth engine machine. If your customers are satisfied, they will stay with you. So ultimately, I would say, always create spaces where customers get all three. They want to make sure that you're with an organization where they feel heard, they feel seen, and they feel valued. And I will say, on my end, when I think about my personal key principles, creating any community, whether that's a customer community, a employee community, I would say, here's my key principles. You want to make sure that the customer voice matters. The members that you have in your community, it's their voice. You listen to them. They're a part of the community. They're the members. You're serving them. So you want to make sure that you're creating experiences and providing forums that bring customers together. You want to make sure that you're identifying your potential community members and developing areas for them to constantly engage with you. And most importantly, you want to make sure that you're listening to your customers and you're actually doing things with the feedback. It's the worst thing ever where your customer gives you all this feedback and then 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and you did nothing with it. That means that the customer was not heard. They were not seen. So you always want to make sure that you're doing something with the feedback that they're giving you. And this is honestly the start of a healthy customer growth machine. And with that, I will leave you in closing. Customer voices truly do matter. If you want to ensure a successful business, put your customers first. Create experiences and forums that bring them together. As human beings, we all want to feel a sense of belonging, and your customers are no different. There is a shared faith that members' needs will be met through commitment to being together. So I'll leave you with connect, engage, and nurture your key customers, and success will always follow. And with that, I will open it up to Q&A. I think you're muted, Jared.
Of course I'm muted. Of course I'm muted. So, Kalina, that was spectacular. We have a couple questions from the audience, and I want to make sure that they're heard and seen first. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some, being a community runner, some like pretty creative questions as well. Let's see how much I'll put you on the spot. But first off, there were some questions. What do you think about different community hosting platforms, right? Like where these people need to live somewhere, and it's probably outside of a spreadsheet. And although not too long ago, it might have been in a spreadsheet, to be honest, but where are they living and having these conversations now?
I think it depends on the size of your company and what type of community you're trying to create. So let's say hypergrowth tech company, I think Bevy is a great choice. I've seen a lot of people work well with that, but also you have to ask yourself, do you have a team that can manage this? If you're a one-person show, I'm not sure if that's the right direction for you. But if you have a team that can actually manage all of the different intakes of that, I think that that's a good route to go. Let's say you're small and just starting off. I personally have looked at Mighty Networks. That's something that I can personally manage and I don't feel overwhelmed. But I'm pretty sure that as I grow, I might want to look at other alternatives. But I would say, think about where you are as a company and think about the amount of bandwidth that you have. How big is your team? So the smaller your team, start smaller. Start off with a smaller investment. So the worst thing is buying a community platform and then a year goes by and you don't know you just get overwhelmed, right? So you're not touching it. So I would say size of company will determine the size of the community platform that you go with.
I love that. And I want to bring out one of Candace's questions here, because Candace also hit me up on LinkedIn during this, because she's like, is this going to get recorded? Because my husband runs community and he can't attend. So I'm like, you want to, let's let the whole familial situation be heard here. So two-part question. What percentage of customers do you find typically engage actively in a community? And then the second part, are there benchmarks we should work towards?
I would say, so it is going to vary, but I would say the benchmarks would be how often are they coming in, and also what are people commenting on? And I would say we have to think about online community versus in-person community, right? So if you're thinking about an online community, obviously those stats are extremely important of how many people are logging in, how many members you have, how many people are chiming in on the forums. That's extremely important. But if you're thinking about your in-person community and you're starting off with, let's say, small happy hours, small user conferences, small user groups, you want to understand, are they even showing up, right? Are they asking, can they lead a particular segment? The bigger your community gets, you can also, differentiate and have leads, right? Like have special leads. If you're, let's say, San Francisco and New York, you might have a superstar customer that says, hey, I really love this. Can I be an ambassador for the New York audience? That's how you know from an online perspective and in person, if you have customers willing to start leading things for you, different chapters, that's how you know you're making progress. How you know you're not making progress is if somebody logs in once and then 6 months goes by and no one's in your community, something's wrong.
Yep. And there's another question it kind of goes off this, like, is there a level of frequency for customer events, online meetups in person that you'd recommend?
I would say as you're starting, you're going to have to do more, right? The best communities are organic communities where you can actually watch and see what's going on. But in order to create that type of engagement, you have to put pieces in there for them. So let's say you're first starting off. I personally look at what's my top metropolitan cities that I know I have a customer base at. And I try to pick those cities, whether that's San Francisco, New York, or LA, wherever it is. Think about where's your, let's say, your top 100 accounts. I always try to do top 100 first and then build from there. If you see that they're all inside a certain area, try to do small dinners, try to do small happy hours just to see what the pulse is. And I would say after you measure, I like 3s and 5s, so do pilots of 3s and 5s. If you see a big uptake and you understand that, hey, when I did it in Los Angeles, I received 50 attendees, but when I did it in New York, I got 80. Now you're starting to say, maybe I should do 2 more in New York and maybe only 1 here. And before you know it, your community will start to grow. You'll start to get feedback. And this is a very important. Every engagement that you do with your customers, have them complete a small survey. Have them answer simple questions of, did you enjoy the content that we provided you? Did you enjoy the type of experience? And what else would you want to be, a part of this community? That's going to allow you, that's listening to the customer voice, right? So that's going to allow you to basically scale your community based off the back and bone of what the customer directly tells you. This was great, but I'd love to see this. This is nice, but I would love to get some type of product feedback, whatever it might be. But I would say start small and always test. And I would say from an online perspective, see it, you can start with webinars, you can start with online engagement, you can start with online forums, just asking key questions, see what the pulse is. And I would say along the way, there's always going to be that superstar customer that says, I want to be branded too. I want to lead this. I want to, see if I can have, a segment that, whether it's a blog or a forum, you're always going to want to find those superstar customers that want to do more. And that's when your customers or your community is going to start organically growing.
Final, and this is all fire. I want to end on one question from the fractional CRO in the audience. Okay. Where does this role fit in the organization? And this is from Dale. And how does all the feedback flow?
That's an interesting one. If I had it my way, I think that there should be a chief community officer And I think that they should be working directly with the CRO, the CCO, and the CMO, and actually reporting key data, because everyone needs feedback from a customer. But if you're starting small, I would say, what is your ultimate goal, right? If it's going to be sitting in marketing, then you have to understand that most of the community efforts will be pushed on, leads and content and testimonials. If it's going to be sitting in CS, you might have the opportunity, if you're looking for more product feedback or health scores of your customers, then all of a sudden the dynamic of the community changes. You're getting more tangible resources that show the health of your client. If it's going to be sitting in sales, right, it's going to obviously just want to be driving a lot of revenue, but sometimes you're going to be missing out on that unique experience. So I would say sit down, ask yourself, what is the key company goals for that year? And if your company goals is, hey, I want customer value, I want us to be positioned as, the leader on a product perspective, you may want to have it sit in CS. If you're saying, hey, I need us to be pushing out way more marketing content, I want my biggest user conference ever, maybe you have someone sit in marketing and lead that community function for you. But always ask yourself, if I have a successful customer community, what goals are those communities, is that community hitting for my top company objectives? And then work backwards from there.
Kalina, we're out of time. We could keep going.
Well, if people have questions, LinkedIn me. Here's my contact information. Send me an email. I'm all ears, but community is key. And Jarrett, thanks for putting this fantastic event together.
Thank you for coming, Kalina. All right, everybody, on to the next session.